the walk-on on a team, and what, look where they ended up, right? So it doesn't have to be that starter in a freshman year of college at a D1 big school. It does not have to be that. That's not the only way. And really, athletics in college provides a lot of opportunity, right? It allows for maybe some help getting into that college. Maybe it provides some career advancement. Maybe that institution that you're going to go to has a whole career center just for student athletes, special academic advisors that are provided to you, potentially a scholarship, financial aid, really also that social and emotional support. So playing in a sport in college at any level provides so many opportunities. It's not just D1.
Next one, NCAA D1 is the only division that gives financial aid for sports.
Not true. There is a lot of opportunity to get aid at other areas besides just Division I. And so Division II gives athletic scholarships. Some people don't know that. And Division III also gives academic and need-based aid. There was a new legislation from the NCAA about a month ago. We actually wrote a blog on it on our website that now Division I teams at Division III institutions can give scholarships too. So there's a lot of opportunities to get assistance in paying for college. It's not just D1 sports. There can be academic, athletic scholarships at all levels.
Next myth, since the NCAA does not require test scores for the 2021, 2022, and 2022, 2023 enrollees, I don't need to take the SAT or ACT.
This is a huge myth. And unfortunately, this is one that we've seen where we don't want to just say, well, since the NCAA doesn't need test scores, nobody needs to take test scores. That's not true. It's going to really be college specific. And so right now, if there are any freshmen, sophomores on the call today, or your families are listening here with you or for you, you right now, the way that the legislation is written, have to take a test score in order to become a qualifier for the Division I and Division II levels. That may change, and we're tracking on it. We will be right here with you when that decision is made and make sure that we push that out to all of our followers. But right now, even though the NCAA has waived test scores for the current seniors that are on the call and the juniors, what happens is this college that you want to go to may still require a test. So we're really suggesting take an exam, because you don't know what college you're going to go to. And if that school requires a test score to gain entry, even though the NCAA does not, you'll still need a test score.
If I'm not hearing from college coaches, I'm not a good fit for college sports.
And this is not true. I always say, college recruiting is a two-way street, right? Recruits are diamonds in the rough. There are a lot of high school student athletes out there. And what you want to do is make yourself rise to the top of the pile. That's really what needs to happen. Coaches look at film. Coaches might come to your practices. Coaches might watch. They might email back and forth. They might be really tracking. But what's going to set you apart from other people with the same athletic ability is having that eligibility in terms of academics all set, knowing if you're a qualifier or what path you need to become a qualifier. You want to make sure that you're reaching out to coaches and not just giving them game film or your stats or your best times at your last meet. You're also saying, hey, I know that I'm not eligible, and here's my transcript, and an eligibility report, which we'll talk about later on in the webinar. So definitely you want to make sure that you're reaching out, but just because you're not hearing from them does not mean that it's over. Definitely, it's a two-way street. They'll reach out to you and you can reach out to them. All right, so thank you, Kim, for that game of Mythbusters. Hopefully we started off the conversation and really got you thinking. So I'm here representing an amazing team of academics and compliance professionals at Honest Game. Shanae, the other Courtney, and myself really round out a lot of experience and expertise in terms of high school and college athletics. We have former coaches, former athletic directors, former athletic administrators, school counselors. The three of us really kind of oversee all of that academics and compliance here at Honest Game. So I'm representing an amazing staff that's not with us tonight. At the end of the day, what you want to think about is that academic eligibility is required for college, period. To get an athletic scholarship to play, to compete, to even just be on a roster, practice, travel, getting accepted and admitted into the school, you've got to make sure that you're academically eligible for that college. And as I mentioned before, academics provides a competitive advantage. In my 20 plus years in a college campus, I would literally have coaches bring a stack of transcripts and they're saying, I want to recruit these student athletes in high school, and where do I start? The academic eligible ones would come to the top. That's really the reality. And the students that would have a path to know how to get eligible, maybe if they're not at the moment, those are the ones that I'd say, yes, go fly to go see that student athlete in their home, or go get in your car and drive to their game or their meet or their match. But the ones that weren't sure of, that's really not the coach. He's not, or she's not going to get in the car and go and watch. The reality is that all of these areas that we have on the screen here, the NAIA, the Division I, Division II, Division III, the California system, the NJCC, all of these types of athletics at the college level have drastically different requirements. Every area has a different number of classes you need, or a different GPA, or things you need by a certain time in your high school. And the eligibility really provides opportunities, but it's so confusing to make sure, like, okay, which one is it? And really, that's what Honest Game can help to do. We'll start off by going through some NAIA requirements. And so the requirements for the NAIA is you need to meet 2 of these 3 benchmarks. First, have a high school GPA of a 2.0, have a minimum 970 SAT or 18 ACT, or graduate in the top half of your class if your class uses rank. Because of COVID-19, the NAIA has actually waived test scores. So really, for those of you that are seniors looking to go to a college that's categorized as an NAIA school, if you have a 2.0 GPA at your high school, that is enough for now to get into an NAIA school and be eligible for next year. That may change moving forward, depending on what the NAIA decides to do with test scores. But right now, the way that it's written is it's 2.0 higher and you're good to go. But as you can see from this picture, it's a piece of cake, right? Okay, I got a 2.0, I'm good to go. That's where the simplicity ends for the requirements, because then we start to jump into the NCAA. And I always explain it, it's a maze. It's a very confusing and complex maze to know, am I a qualifier for Division I or Division II and the NCAA level? What are they looking at, right? And the NCAA looks at a lot of things. They look at a specific subset of courses in your high school, not all your classes, just a special 16 that they hand select themselves. How are you doing in those 16 classes? Do you have a test score? And then looking at all of that and saying, okay, then let's see if you're a qualifier or not. It's very confusing. The handbook is like this. In college, for compliance people, the handbook is like this. There's a lot of rules, right? And so that's really what Honest Game can help is walk you through it. So tonight we're going to start with this education about what might they be looking for. Okay, so we just start here with the Division I qualifier requirements. To become a Division I qualifier out of high school to go to a Division I college, the first thing is you need to make sure that you have 16 or 32 semesters. Or
what's that? I go into the garage, get past your car, you know?
If you could just mute yourself, that way everybody can hear. Thank you. You'll need to have 16 approved NCAA courses or 32 semesters completed before you go to the Division I level. That needs to start in your freshman year. Back in the day, this is how old I am, you could replace grades, right? Your freshman year didn't really count. You could take an extra set in your summertime before your senior year, or you could really load up on your senior year and just wipe out all of freshman year. That is not the case anymore. Classes start in 9th grade. Sometimes, if you're lucky enough, some of your 8th grade courses may actually count. But starting in 9th grade, that's when the NCAA will start to look for these core courses, right? You need to have 16 in order to go to Division I, and 10 of those 16 or 20 semesters have to be before your senior year. And that's what the NCAA calls the 10-7 rule. 10 classes of the 16 have to be before your 7th semester of high school or your senior year. And that's really where a lot of students fall into the problem, because if you're not tracking early in your 9th grade, you might accidentally, no fault of your own, miss that 10th class before your senior year. These core courses that we're talking about are different at every high school. And so what happens is it's managed by your school counselor. So we all know school counselors, they're the hardest working people in your high school, I think. They have so many things to do, right? Because of COVID and emotional learning and all of this stress. There's a lot to do for a high school counselor. And athletics is one of those pieces on their plate. And so they really need to be managing the course list at your high school. And is it the correct list that's at the NCAA? And so what happens is the NCAA will look at those courses from your high school and say, this one we feel is taught at a level that is a core course. but this one's not. And it's very different. So for those of you that are maybe on a club team or you're on a travel team with someone that doesn't go to your high school, the reality is you could be an English 10 and your teammate could be an English 10 at another high school and her class doesn't count and your class does for various reasons. Course title, how the course is taught, when it's taught, what the curriculum looks like. There's a lot of reasons, but at the end of the day, you can't just be like, oh, well, I'm on my path to graduate, so my high school must have this all figured out. Because a lot of times it's not, right? The other issue that we've seen is sometimes some of you are just bright students, right? And you get to skip 9th grade English because you can take an honors course or an AP one early, or maybe you're moving along in that high school curriculum and you're allowed to skip some various courses. Sometimes students that are even a 4.0 honor student become ineligible to play at the college level because their courses might not line up. And so that's one thing to be tracking on. And so when you take the classes and what kinds of classes you take is really important. And ideally, as I said, you'll be watching this starting in 9th grade. There's also something called the sliding scale. Again, next year, this is not required because the test score is not necessary for the academic eligibility for the NCAA. But if the test comes back or when it comes back, what happens is they want to make sure that you understand you can have two really big components to this. If you're a great test taker, then the core GPA in those 16 classes doesn't have to be as high, or vice versa. If you're really good in the classroom, but that Saturday SAT just was so hard, it doesn't have to be so high. So it's a sliding scale. The higher your NCAA core course GPA in those 16 classes, the less high your SAT or ACT score needs to be. So ideally, you'll fall somewhere in that white area, and that's a 2.3 minimum core GPA, right? Just those 16 classes. Take out phys ed, take out band, take out religion, but just those 16 core, a 980 minimum SAT score, or 75 minimum ACT. That becomes a full qualifier. So full qualifiers at the Division I level can take a scholarship. You can compete, you can practice, you can travel, you can do all of the things associated with that Division I team. If you're not quite there, but you're in this little peach area in the bottom right, you have a 2.0 minimum core, an 1100 minimum SAT, or an 86 ACT, then you're what's called an academic Division I level. You can accept a scholarship, but you cannot travel and compete in your first year. You're also tied to higher academic standards in your freshman year of college than those that enter as full qualifiers out of high school. So that's kind of you get to be on the team and really, really work hard, but there's the NCAA saying, you know what, you're not really ready right now to do all the things, compete and travel and go to college in that first year. So what Honest Game does is we try to make this all simple, right? I've spoken for many minutes so far about the complexity, this tracking and which classes to take and when to take them, and did I do the right thing, and are they coded correctly? We'll take those test scores, we'll take your grades, we'll take your courses, and we'll put them together and create a roadmap. And so if you take a look here, here's some screenshots from the report, and I want to show these simply because some of you that are taking your classes right now might be thinking like, I have some questions now to ask my school counselor tomorrow, or as we talk about later on, maybe you want to jump on board and have Honest Game work with you. So the first screenshot you have here is a sample student, right? This is their freshman year and sophomore year of classes. And what we'll do is take a look at every class you've taken. Starting in 8th grade, you'll give us a transcript, easily upload it. If I can do it, you can do it. But you can easily upload your transcript to your portal. And what we'll do is take a look, and all the classes in white are courses that the NCAA has considered at your high school, your specific high school. So this is an individual plan for you, which ones are core courses and which ones are not. So education and career tech is an example, high school reading. So a student said, well, I had to take high school reading. My teacher or my counselor made me take high school reading. Yes, you had to take it for your high school. And maybe you had to take it to graduate from your high school. But it's in gray because it's not an NCAA approved core course at your high school. And so we make sure to put all those there. You can see the white ones are good and the gray ones do not count. Additionally, we will also flag some courses at your high school where we said, you know what, this should be a core course. Your high school maybe changed the name, or maybe they didn't submit, it's a new course. So what we'll also do is say, these are the courses that right now count. These are the classes that do not, right? Music tech does not count. However, we will reach out to your school on your behalf and say, we're working with a student at your school. We see that she's registered for literature and film, or in this case, last year, she took literature and film. got 2 A's, but they're not counting for the NCAA core courses. We feel they should be. So we've worked with high school counselors, and 10 times out of 10, when I reach out and say, listen, we'd like to help you with this class, they'll respond back, oh my gosh, thank you, because it's been on my plate, or there's a lot to do, or thank you, because I'm new in this role and I'm not really sure how to help my students best, and I want to help them. And so that happens a lot. We have great conversations with high schools all over the country and outside of the United States, and help them to make sure that their course list is accurate on behalf of you, right? We have that conversation on behalf of you. Students and families have so much to do to try to keep all of this. We try to take that off your shoulders and do some of this work with you and for you. So we will definitely be an advocate for you for your high school. We also want to help with planning courses, right? So now is the time when you may be picking classes for next fall or this summer school, and you're not sure which to take, right? So we work with students a lot of times, so they'll give us this sample schedule. You know, Courtney, I'm uploading my transcript right now. This is my suggested schedule for the fall and spring. Which ones are appropriate and which ones are not? Or my school only offers global issues for this spring. Will that be okay? Will I be short of social science? So those are the students that I love to be able to help. And our software does this automatically and provides a report for you. And we can say, ooh, you know what? Add another math. We have messages, which you'll see right now, where we really want to drill down about, listen, you're 1 short in English, or we suggest summer school. So this is an example of the front page of the report that you'll get if you have an Honest Game report. Serena Venus is our sample student. And we try to make it really easy, really basic. A red, it's a stoplight system, right? So red is a non-qualifier, not okay to play. Yellow is a partial qualifier. You can take a scholarship, but you can't compete fully, right? And green is good to go, full qualifier. And as we talked about, there's a lot of opportunity at the college level for college sports. You could play Division I, Division II, Division III, NAIA, or junior college. So our report provides options at all of those levels. And so if you take a look at Serena up by her name, in a very quick instant, she can know right now, right? This eligibility is a moment in time. How am I doing up to today? And Serena has ineligible for Division I. She's a partial qualifier for Division II. She's a full qualifier for Division III. She's a non-qualifier for NAIA, and she's a full qualifier for JUCO. And so those buttons at the top are quick snapshots, but then she can actually toggle in between and say, okay, why am I a partial qualifier here, and what do I need to do, right? We want to give options. This is not the end. It's not a dead end. These are paths to a lot of opportunity. And if you are being recruited by a coach, or as we talked about a couple of minutes ago, if you're reaching out to college coaches, it's definitely awesome to download this plan and send it along, right? If a college coach walked into my office and said, Courtney, I want to recruit this student and here's their eligibility report, oh my gosh, I'd be, whoo, that would be amazing, right? So if you want to equip these college coaches with information, and a report like ours is great. You can also see on the right side, we'll be tracking those classes, right? So ideally starting in your freshman year, and every semester we'll show you how many maths do you have towards the 6, how many social sciences do you have towards the 4. So you'll know at all times where you are. It won't be a surprise, right? But don't hide behind your academics. You want to be fully in the know. Oopsie. You can also see here that we have this interactive sliding scale. So as I said, if you're not a great test taker, you can see how high do I have to get on that Saturday test if this is my core course GPA, so you can play around with that. But on the right side, as I said, we talk about these messages, right? Let's talk about short-term goals. Listen, this semester, if you get this number of A's or this many B's or this many C's, this will be your GPA, right? Let's talk small. What are we going to do? What's my goal for June? And then what's my goal for next December? We can kind of do this throughout your high school, which is great. So that's really awesome. What I also want to show is the bottom, right? Your English course is not approved. If it's granted, you should plan to take 2 semesters of approved English, right? So if it's not okay, here's your plan. We always want to talk about your plan, right? And so we'll send these messages, will automatically pop in your report, and will help you plan throughout the time. There's a few other items that we wanted to share tonight because really it's not just about the eligibility report, right? Those are the simple basic things, and not simple actually, but the first step, right? How am I doing eligibility wise? But then secondly, there's sometimes just times where you might need help with the other parts, right? Just what does applying to college look like? Or making sure that, you know what should I be talking to a coach? How can I help? Or I might need some help about writing an email to a coach. What might that look like? Or can I need some help making my list? I don't even know where to start, right? Where should I start looking? And so we offer college counseling through Honest Game from one of our academic experts. And it's extremely affordable. That's the important part. We want to make sure that students all over the world are gaining access and equity to college sports. And so there's a lot out there that's just, you know, ridiculous amounts of money. We are very, very affordable at $99 for the first session. And you can buy packages to save money along the way. We want to make sure that you're getting the answers that you want and that we're really helping you along the way. We also have Cleo, the chatbot, on our website. So after this webinar, if you pop on to honestgame.com, you can ask Cleo some questions. She's very smart. But these are for some just quick answers, right? If you're just like, no, what, I'm wondering about this. I want to investigate this. We also wanted to help you walk through. Some of these are not just one answers. Some questions that you have might lead to other things. And so we have a few scripts in there that you can kind of teach me about recruiting. Teach me about paying for college, right? That's just extremely complicated. So you can ask Cleo those types of things. And after, you know, a few questions, you might say, you know what, I think I do want to sign up for that counseling. And that's an option as well. Also, wanting to direct you to the blog. Many of the topics that we've talked about tonight have already been written by our academic team and kind of quick snippets that are kind of digestible for high school students, families, anybody that's really working towards this getting to college sports. And so take a look at our blog. There's usually something new every other week, so keep watching. But we also try to make it timely. And so the minute that the NCAA made that legislation change for Division I teams at Division III institutions, or when Division II changed their academic eligibility requirements like that, we were quick to jump on and say, okay, what does this mean for our families out there? What does this mean if you are in your kitchen right now? No, wait, I don't know. I saw this on Twitter. What does it mean? We want to make sure that we're educating, we're there for you. And that's really what our academic experts are there for.